killing it. Guys, I don't know if it's from, that guy loves it already. I don't know whether it's from watching pornography or from watching Oprah, but I feel like the general narrative about women's sexuality is, you might think you're not a lesbian, but you can never know. Right? Like, that's what the internet certainly seems to think. And also, I work from home, so I watch a lot of daytime TV, and there's always a lot of ladies who are like, yeah, like I retired and I started exploring my own interests, and it turns out I was a lesbian this whole time. And whenever I see those things, I call my parents and I'm like, Mom and Dad, if you guys are secretly gay this whole time, or transgender, or you have some complicated, interesting sex thing that I'm not gonna know about until you guys die and I have to clean out the house, just know that I love you. I love you how you are. And my parents are like, great, thanks for calling. Is that it? I just wanna, which I feel bad about because it's also, that's what I'm gonna be like with my kids, you know? I'm gonna be like, are you kids gay? It's okay with me, I love you anyways. Just because I want them to know. I wanna have like a proactive message about it. But because I would be fine with being a lesbian. I think that if I were to discover that later in life, my only problem would be that I would be angry that I had wasted so much time. Which is actually really condescending because I'm straight and I don't do much with that. You know, like, I think like if I was a lesbian, I'd be like out every night and not eating Greek yogurt and watching TBS like I'd be doing anyways. But I'm sure that's exactly what I'd be doing. I would just be attracted to women. But I don't know, there's something about that message about like women's sexuality being like super fluid, like waterfall fluid, that I don't know, I've always been sort of interested in having an experience with a woman, and I never have. And that's why I agreed to have the one and only three-way I've ever had with an ex-boyfriend of mine and a friend of his. And just to give you a visual of this guy, his name's Eric, and he looks like Peter Billingsley from A Christmas Story. The child protagonist of A Christmas Story. And I want to be clear, I don't mean he looks like an adult version of that guy. But he's nice and super funny. And one time he paid me a compliment that I'll never forget. He said that he would pay rent to live in my ass. I don't know. I thought that was just great. I just appreciated that I had that, like, that knowledge. And when we went out for like 2 seconds, but when we went out, we talked about having a three-way. Everyone talks about having a three-way. Like, everyone talks a big game. Yeah, we're gonna get this going. It never happens. So eventually we stopped seeing each other, and then about 3 months later, I get a text from him, and it says something to the effect of, hey, I'm having a drink at my place with this female friend of mine from college if you want to stop by. And I knew immediately this was gonna be a three-way. Because of the information he had provided. One, it's a female friend. You didn't have to say that. It didn't matter to me. Two, it's at night. That's when three-ways happen. And then also, three, he hadn't texted me in 3 months. So, I mean, what else is this going to be? And so I got, like, very nervous and excited. And I realized, like, it's because I sort of thought this is going to be some sort of, like, pivotal moment in my sexual development. So I was really, really nervous, so I went to Urban Outfitters and I bought a hat. Like, I just like, and it's true, I don't know, like, I don't know whether it's from being Midwest or being American, but like whenever I through a very small period in my early 20s, whenever I felt any sort of anxiety, I bought something. And it was usually from Urban Outfitters, and it was usually a hat. Like, I just had to buy something. So I go in and I bought something, and I have it in my purse, and I go over to this guy's apartment, and things are going all right, you know, like we're having a drink, and like we're all getting along, and I was like, oh my God, this is gonna be like, there's gonna be my life before we had this three-way, and my life after we had this three-way, and they're gonna be so totally different, except they're gonna be totally the same, except afterwards I have a lot more sex with women. I guess that's what I thought. And so I was really, really jazzed up, and we go in this room, we get undressed, and that's when I realized, oh God, I'm really in a pickle now, because I don't want to fuck this woman at all. At all. I have no interest in this whatsoever. And I was like, okay, all right, we work this out. It's fine. Like, it's just a very awkward situation to be. And so I'm there in this room, and things are kind of going, but they're not really going. Nothing's really happening. And you might wonder, like, Halle, once you're in that situation, why don't you just leave? Like, once you feel awkward, why would you not leave? First of all, I am from Ohio. Okay, that's rude. You can't just leave a three-way. You just don't do that. It's gauche. Really. And then also, it was really late and really cold, and I just didn't want to go outside. But then also, I didn't want to have to deal with the responsibility of, like, putting on my coat and putting on my scarf and putting on my shoes and turning to these people and being like, this is just real lame and boring, what you guys have going on. Ew, I'm not gonna deal with it. I couldn't do that. Like, as an adult, years later, I would do that now. But at the time, I just didn't have that ability. I didn't have it in me. So I took the coward's way out of a three-way, which was to roll to the edge of the bed and sort of just angle my body away from them. You know, like a human does when other people are nude in the room. And, and just to say, I just want to preface this with saying, this girl was perfectly cute. She had a nice body. I didn't take a good look at it, but I'm sure she had a top-notch vagina. Like, everything was great. She looked totally fine. This is not a comment about her. And I've thought about it since, like, what if it was the most beautiful woman in the world? Would I have wanted to have sex with her? And when I think about who the most beautiful woman in the world is, it's Tia Carrere from Wayne's World. Right? It is. And I don't mean just Tia Carrere. I mean her character, Cassandra. Like, if this woman was, like, a hot bassist who, like, kicks ass, then I'd be like, okay. But the thing is, Tia Carrere wasn't there. I'll never know, right? So I'm having my actual three-way with these people, and it's just going terribly. So at the edge of the bed, I don't know whether it was just like I just needed to distance myself more from them or I'm just such an asshole. But I don't know. I reached over and I took a book off the nightstand. I just started to page through it, just paging through this book. And also, it was sonnets, but it wasn't like Shakespeare or anything. It was like some Shakespeare also ran, and I'm like, oh my God, even the book's boring, you know? And so finally, it's like the coup de grace of like you guys are naked and vulnerable to me. Fuck you. I reach in my purse and I take out the hat I bought and I tried it on. I tried on a hat during my three-way. And I know that seems so offensive, but I was so excited about this hat. Like, it was gray and knit and had like 2 buttons on it. It was really slouchy. And it was the hat that taught me I could wear hats. And that was, thank you, sir. And that was just so much more important to me at the moment than these 2 people I was supposed to be making love to. And I just realized, like, three-ways are seen as very dirty. Like, it's like anything like that, like group sex or doing something like kinky is so dirty. But it's only dirty if you're into it. I realize if you're not into it, it's just like you're changing your bathing suit next to your cousin. You know, you're just like, oh, sorry. This is awkward, you know. So, you know, eventually things just grind to a halt. Like, I mean, just there's no decision. We're all just like, well, we tried. And if I'm not making it clear how bad it was, nobody came. Nobody came, right? Just like an old school bus running out of gas on a country road, just grinds to a halt, and we just give up. And what's even worse is, you know, it's just so, and again, I didn't want to leave because it was so freezing, and it was the dead of night, right? So we're all like awkwardly laying there like corpses next to each other, and the other woman gets up and she has like a blanket on. So she's going to go sleep on the futon in the living room because she's like, I can't even deal with this, which I respect. So she gets up and she's like sneaking into the living room, and the guy, as if things weren't awkward enough, goes, my roommate's really weird about people sleeping on the futon, so you can't. So this grown woman who just had an abortion of a three-way with the 2 of us had to like slink back to bed like and lay down again. It was the worst. And of course, like next day I have to have like a post-mortem with this guy, which is awful because I'm not even dating him, so I don't even care. And he's like, oh, that didn't go well, did it? And I'm like, no, what are you talking about? I was reading a book during it. How could you think this is going well? So while it was in the moment horrifying, I look back on it as like, oh, it really did open my eyes to something about myself that is sort of like, it's been an element of my sexuality ever since, which is I am extremely heterosexual and there's nothing I could do about it. You know, like I gave it the old college try. I gave it my all and my all was just not good enough. But there is one thing I wonder about that night, and I still think about, which is, what the fuck did I do with that hat? Because I lost it immediately after I left. And I guess it's sort of like some questions you're never gonna know the answer to. Okay, that's for me, guys. Thanks so much.